Okay, so this is the directions for the full skirt. So if you remember doing pi r square in geometry, I believe it is, when you learn that, this is a real life application of when you would use pi r square, is to work on radiuses of circles and things like that. So luckily there's websites out there that you can punch in your numbers, and it'll calculate the waist radius for you and the length and everything. So this is the website that I went to, and I plugged in my waist measurement. So I measured the waist of the dress form at the bottom of the twill tape, and it measured at 14 inches. And then my skirt length is 19 inches. So I plug those numbers in there, hit calculate, and it calculates it for me. So the radius of the waist, it comes out as 1.44 inches, which is basically 1 inch and 7/16, which is really close to 1.5. So I just rounded it up to a 1.5. And then the length is going to be 21 inches. So that's all the math to be able to calculate the quarter skirt that you're going to draft. So I did a schematic here, a drawing to show you that how to measure it off. So the first thing here is this edge right here is your selvage. That's the finished edge of the fabric, and then this is the selvage. So you're opening up a piece of fabric with it completely open. You're not folding it in half or anything like that. So you have selvage to selvage. Then you're going to take and you're going to measure from this edge here down on the selvage 1.5 inches, and then you're going to measure 1.5 inches and put little marks right there, and you're going to sketch a quarter circle. And then from here down, you're going to measure 21 inches. And then I'll show you how to mark the markings here to create this quarter circle here. So that's what it looks like on paper. You'll need 4 of these patterns, and the fabric that you need is about 50 inches. So you'll go to the muslin fabric, measure off 50 inches, make a cut, and then rip the fabric off, and that should be plenty of fabric for you to be able to cut 4 of these out. Because you're going to cut one here, you'll cut one on this corner, you'll cut one on this corner, and then you'll cut one on this corner. And I'll show you what that looks like in just a minute. All right, so that's the information there. All right, so the first thing you're going to do is you can use a tape measure, or you can use the ruler here. And from this point here down, I'm going to measure 1.5 inches and put a little mark like so. Then I'll measure 1.5 inches from this point here, put a little mark there. And then what I'll do, I can do this too, is go right smack in the corner of that, do 1.5 inches right there, and I can move that 1.5 inches there, and then I can connect, kind of round this, around it there, like so. You can see that. There's something underneath there. Oh, there's all these rulers. Look how they've multiplied. Okay, so there's that. Then you're going to take your shears and you're going to cut that off. Like so. Now, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to take your tape measure and you're going to measure down 21 inches from that cut there down to 21 inches, which is right down here, and put a little mark. So that's there. And then you'll take this up just a tad here. All right, so I'm going to take the edge of the tape measure right there, And I'm gonna put another mark here. So it's right here along that cut there. Then I'll move the tape measure a little bit, keep it straight, and put another little mark there. Then move it, keep the tape measure right on that cut edge. Make sure the tape measure is straight. Put a little mark there, and go back and put another one right there. And once I get to about half of the circle, I'll show you the easy way to continue on. So I'm almost half here. Let's see. So notice like where my tape measure is, and I'm gonna do that. And there. All right, so now I've got some marks here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back and I'm just gonna kind of lightly sketch and connect those dots. You can use a ruler here. And there, connect the dots. Okay, so now I've got a starting of this line here. And then what I'm gonna do is cut along this line that I've sketched out. Hello. I'm recording, so. All right, so I'm gonna fold this, and what I'm gonna do is make sure that this matches up here, the raw edges are raw edges, and then smooth that out, and then I'll continue cutting along what I'd already cut. And then I'll match, make sure the top edges here match. And here, make sure those raw edges meet with the selvage. And then just continue cutting all the way around. And then you've got your quarter skirt all cut out. So that's what it looks like there. Now I went ahead and cut out another one, but I wanted to show you how to lay out that. This is another pattern. And so make sure that the selvage, this is the selvage, is along this selvage. So I'm gonna flip that over. And I'm gonna measure 1.5 inches down just to make sure that that's in the right spot. Move that up just a little bit. Okay, so there's my 1.5 inches. And then I'm just gonna make sure that this edge matches here. And you could go ahead and pin that in place too if you, so it's 1.5 inches, so let's pin that so it stays put. And we're gonna measure 1.5 inches here and pin that. And then there. I want to make sure that matches over there. you've got a little bit of rippling right here, that's okay. It'll be all right. Just try to smooth it out the best you can. And then you'll just use that as your pattern and you'll cut the other one out. So now remember, I already cut one of those out already. So this is my third one, but in the video you only see me cut 2 so far. All right, so that's my 2 in the video, but it's actually 3. All right, and then we're gonna do one more. And once again, I'm matching the selvage to the selvage here, and I'm measuring 1.5 inches down from that edge. Okay, that looks like it matches. And I'm going to pin that in place, and then I'm going to measure this one just to make sure it's 1.5 inches down. Okay, it's right there. Pin that in place. If your pattern is longer than the fabric, what you need to do is like go across and stretch it like this, and to stretch out the fabric to make it fit. Sometimes it kind of shrinks a little bit when it gets wound on the bolt. Just gonna stretch that a little bit. Should fit better. Yeah, much better. I just kind of stretched it a little there. All right, and then I'll use that once again as my pattern to cut. Now I have 3, oh, I forgot to cut that little circle out there, and I think I forgot to do it on the other one. So let's go back and make sure it's 1.5 inches and cut around that. So I forgot to cut that on that last one. So make sure you do that. Go back and recut those. Just repin it and all. Okay, so only on one of these, just one of these quarter panels, you're gonna fold this in half. Match the raw edge to the selvage edge. So it looks, move this out of the way. So it looks like, get this matched up here. All right, that looks pretty good. All right, and then you could go to the iron and press this folded edge to help you with cutting straight if you would like. Or if you think you can cut pretty straight, then just hold your hand like this and cut this in half. Because this is gonna be your center back of the skirt. then just, oh, I should probably tell you. You're gonna measure down, let's call it 4 inches. 4 inches down, make a mark right there. And you're gonna leave this 4 inches open, from here to here open. And if you were making this dress, this will be part of the zipper. So we're just gonna leave that open, and then you'll stitch from this point down. And I'll show you that later. So pin those 2 pieces together, and then you've got this one, and then the one that I forgot to cut that out. So what I'm gonna do is do this. If you forget to cut it, just fold it like this, and then fold it again. And you can measure down 1.5 inches. Kind of curve it, don't cut across, kind of cut it like a scoop there. Made it kind of a, I'd go back and maybe just kind of cut those little points off. It's not really going to matter too much, because when you attach it to the bodice, it won't. Okay, so just kind of smooth those little points off. Okay, so there's that one. And then the original one that I cut off, which is right here. So now I have 1, 2, 3, and 4 pieces. So what you'll end up doing now is you're gonna pin this center back one, pin these together here. And then you're gonna open this up, and this becomes the right side. So you're gonna match right sides together, pin here, so pin at the bottom here, and then pin up here at the top, and then you'll pin the center. And it's going to be important that you make sure you pin this and sew up to your pins. So make sure you do that. All right, so we've got that pinned. So we've got center back, one of the side seams. Now we're going to do another piece, right sides together, match this, sure the edges all match. So go back and pull that fullness in there. All right, and then the last panel. And then So now it's completely open. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these two pieces together here, pin those. And pin down here at the bottom, and then pin the center. And then now I'm going to go to the sewing machine and I'm going to sew all these seams, and it's just a 1/4 inch seam. So it's the edge of the foot to the edge of the fabric, and you're just going to sew 1/4 inch seams all the way, except for that one area, which is your center back. And remember, we measured 4 inches down, which is right here. So I'm not gonna sew that up. I will only sew from here down, because that's how we're gonna get the skirt back on the dress form. So that's how you do the full skirt.